Welcome to Chapter 2, Creating New Beginnings. It's a pleasure to be talking again with Wayne Cafran. We talked in our last discussion about coaching and what you liked about coaching and coming to the aha moment and a bit about the flexibility that you have. In this particular session, we're going to talk about the challenges of setting up the business. I can imagine, a bit different when it's Wayne versus when it's Wayne as part of KPMG. So what about getting started? You had clearly a wealth of experience, knowledge. You'd gone through the certification process. What was it like, and what did you do getting started with the business?
Hey, well, thanks for having me again, Dan. It's a pleasure to be with you all. So I got the certification. I'm ready to go, but I'm not really ready to go because there's something about like you've got to get people to coach. So how does that work? And so it's not the field of dreams theory. I build it and they will come. So a couple things from my perspective in terms of the business side, which is just as important as a certification, but a little different, obviously. But the first thing you've got to say is, what kind of coach do you want to be? There are many coaches out there. There are health coaches, there are business coaches, there are life coaches, wellness coaches. So where do you want to create your niche? For me, it was around business and leadership because that's where my passion was around. So once I decided that was the area that I wanted to focus on, start to think about, well, how am I going to get clients? Right. And so things like, oh, maybe I should create a website to tell people who I am and tell them what I coach, who I coach, what's my philosophy. So building a website was kind of a new skill for me. Then branding myself on LinkedIn and other kinds of things, like you can do podcasts, webinars, newsletters, and all kinds of things. But you start to think about, well, it's not like I'm certified, people are going to come to me. And I think the biggest thing I would say is, and this is really important for those C-level folks that are transitioning out of their 20-year, 30-year career and want to do something else, is building or really just tapping into my network, starting to network yourself a lot more. And networking is kind of the important ingredient here. And we can talk more about that. But those were the things for that guy. Tap back into my network, build a LinkedIn, create a personal value statement, create a website. So these were things that were sort of dormant in my 30-year career prior years.
Sounds like a lot of the foundation background was done before by KPMG, and you had to rebuild that with that yourself. Then you said you went through the network. Where do you get your first customers? Were there people you knew from before? Were there companies you
Yeah,
worked with?
kind of both. There's a concept called within networking the AIR principle. So it's A for advice, I for insight, and R for referrals. So when I tapped into my network, is I wanted to get their advice about how I could start, any insights, and are there other people I could be talking with, right? And then my network starts to expand and start to get the word out. But the thing about networking, it's not a one-way street. So it's like, how can I help you out as well, right? But I think is building the network was really, really important. Then for me, when I sort of built the network, I think one of the things that were important is I needed a testimonial. I needed people to say, hey, I've coached with Wayne and he knows what the heck he's doing. And we had a good experience. So what I did was I did group coaching. I've got 5 or 6 folks over an 8-week period. We did coaching. We did a lot back and forth. It was a really good group of folks. And at the end of the day, I got testimonial from some of them, which I used. That expanded my referral network.
Pretty cool. So tell me, what about the finances? Did it make money? Or as the movie goes, show me the money.
Yeah. So I always say to folks is how much? how much do you want to work and how much money do you need? So you got to ask those questions because for me, as a retired partner at KPMG, I really didn't need another full-time job, but I wanted something that I was passionate about, which we already spoke about. And then, so I didn't really want to work a lot. So the flexibility came in.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you can make money, but it depends how much you want to work at it, right? And if you want to be full time and do you want to do all those things I talked about, podcasts, webinars, newsletters, and things like that, which I personally didn't want to do. I know coaches that do it and they do it very well.
Mm-hmm. So it really depends. But that's
Yeah.
one of the beauties and one of the reasons you said you liked it is it gives you control over your time and deciding what you want to do.
Another thing would be in relation to the sort of the private coaching that I do, I also contract with other great companies that do the selling and delivery as well as outsource or contract with a coach with my credentials to help with their client base. So I do my own private referral coaching as well as a contract with other terrific companies that do that as well.
How'd you find those companies? Did you know about them before?
I worked with one because I was a client of one called My Next Season. I'll give them a great plug, but I was a client, went through the program. And so I said, these folks are great and I want to coach with them. And so that was an example of one. There are others out there as well.
It really sounds like understanding your network and talking to people. And as you've said, it's a two-way street. I think sometimes people retire and they're used to being the one on the network that people call for help because they've got the high-powered job. And you leave it and you think, well, maybe I don't have that particular thing, but I still have a lot of connections. I have a huge amount of experience. And I find when you talk to people and you can provide help and assistance, it always enriches you and you never know how it comes back. It's a fun kind of thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think coaching has really changed my life in terms of being a better person and more listening and things like that. By the way, it's also brought me other types of work. So some people have called me up and said, yeah, I like the coaching and mentorship, but I also could use you for facilitating training or some kind of consulting project. So it does lead back to the money thing. Sometimes you start off with something like a coach, but it morphs into other types of projects as well. Because you're working with folks in an organization as well. And then so they have other issues. You may have that skill set as well.
It's really good. You get to meet people, and it's about helping people solve their own problems and sometimes maybe involving you as well in helping them. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure talking with you, Wayne. You're looking good and healthy, and appreciate your time, and I enjoy it. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.